This story is very beautiful. If you see and hear it, you will feel happy. So let's start. The fog that clings to the Oregon coast is a liquid secret. For the tourists who walk the sands of Seacliff, it's a picturesque mood. For Ben Carter, a marine biologist operating out of Newport, it was a curtain hiding phenomena his instruments could barely comprehend. But for Queen Lyra, it was her world's fragile ceiling. Her kingdom, Pacifica, shimmered 1,000 feet below the waves, a city of bioluminescent coral and sculpted basalt nestled in an undersea canyon. For generations, her people had thrived in the cold, clear Pacific, their silver-blue tails flashing through forests of giant kelp. Lyra, with eyes the color of sea glass and hair like spun moonlight, ruled with a steady hand, her reign as peaceful as the gentle currents that fed their home. It began as a whisper, a patch of dead water where nothing grew. Then a patrol of 3 mermen vanished from the northernmost reef. When their bodies were found, they were not torn or broken, but withered, their scales coated in a greasy black substance that seemed to suck the light from the water. Fear, a forgotten emotion in Pacifica, began to coil in the city's heart. Lyra swam to the site herself, her royal guard flanking her. The water grew colder, the usual symphony of the sea replaced by a sickening silence. Before them, the vibrant kelp forest was a graveyard of decaying black stalks. From the abyssal darkness below, something vast shifted. Lyra felt it not with her ears, but as a pressure against her soul, a deep, predatory hum that vibrated through her bones. A shadow, larger than any whale, blotted out the distant glow of Pacifica. 2 points of sickly yellow light ignited within it, eyes filled with ancient hunger. This was the Gloomfang, a legend her people only spoke of in hushed warnings. Back in his lab, Ben Carter stared at his sonar screen, baffled. He was tracking an unprecedented seismic anomaly, but it wasn't geological. It moved. "It's like a hole in the ocean," he muttered, tracing the void on his monitor. It was absorbing sound, light, everything. Interspersed with the dead zone were frantic, high-frequency pings he'd never encountered, the panicked communication of Lyra scouts. The Gloomfang's influence spread. The black blight crept closer to Pacifica, its touch draining life and color. The city's light began to dim. The merfolk panicked, their elegant city turning into a cage. Lyra knew she couldn't fight the creature. It was a physical manifestation of the abyss itself. An ancient, blind elder, her scales faded to the color of pearls, gave Lyra the only sliver of hope. "The Gloomfang is not of our water," the elder rasped, her voice thin as sea foam. "It is shadow, and only the sunken light can push it back. The light is trapped in the metal whale." Lyra knew the legend. The metal whale was a shipwreck, a human vessel from a great war that had sunk a century ago near the treacherous rocks of Seacliff. Inside was a treasure not of gold, but of sound, a unique sonar bell, the tide caller, which the humans had used to hunt their own metal leviathans. Its pure frequency, the legend said, was anathema to the Gloomfang. To retrieve it meant swimming into the shallows, into the noisy, polluted world of humans. It was a suicide mission. But watching her city's light fade, she saw no other choice. Under the cover of a storm that lashed the Oregon coast, Lyra swam upward. The pressure changed, the water grew warm and murky, and the roar of the surface was deafening. She found the wreck, a rusted steel carcass draped in seaweed, its bones groaning in the surge. At the same time, Ben Carter, unable to ignore the bizarre readings any longer, convinced his superiors to let him take the Odyssey, a small deep-sea submersible, for a closer look. He piloted it through the churning storm waters, his sonar painting a picture of the old wreck. And something else. Something massive and alive, moving toward it. Lyra found the bell inside the corroded comms room. It was smaller than she expected, a heavy bronze dome. As her fingers touched its surface, a faint, pure chime echoed through the water. It surged from the depths, a hurricane of shadow and teeth. The shipwreck screamed as the monster's form collided with it. Lyra was thrown against a bulkhead, the tide collar clattering from her grasp. The water filled with the monster's suffocating presence. Suddenly, the wreck was bathed in brilliant white light. Ben, stunned by the sight of the colossal beast on his monitor, had instinctively hit the Odyssey's external floodlights. The beams sliced through the murk, striking the bronze bell. The effect was explosive. Amplified by the human technology, the bell didn't just chime, it screamed a chord of pure, resonant light and sound. The Gloomfang recoiled as if struck by lightning, its shadowy form dissolving at the edges. It let out a silent, soul-tearing shriek and fled back into the crushing blackness of the abyss. In the swirling chaos, Ben saw her. For 3 clear seconds, his floodlights illuminated a queen from another world, her sea glass eyes wide and her hand outstretched. He saw her grab the bell, a look of grim triumph on her face, before she kicked her powerful tail and vanished into the darkness the monster had vacated. Ben sat in his submersible, his heart hammering against his ribs, and the world he knew shattered forever. He had the footage, proof that would change humanity. Lyra returned to Pacifica a savior. The tide collar, now mounted in the city's center, pulsed with a soft, protective light, its frequency a shield that kept the deep darkness at bay. Her people were safe. On the surface, Ben Carter deleted the file. He classified the event as an unexplained equipment malfunction during extreme weather. He couldn't be the one to expose her. He couldn't risk turning her world into a circus, a specimen, or a target. He now had a new, secret purpose: to watch the deep, to understand the barrier she had created, and to ensure that no human ever stumbled upon the queen who reigned in the silent, shimmering canyons of the Oregon coast.